Go ahead.
And we're going to continue with the photographs. Thank you. Alright, would you tell us what number 90 is?
It's the downstairs of Michael's bedroom.
And is there anything different about this photograph, People's 90, than when you saw it when you were there?
Should be, like, the music playing thing, jukebox. Where all the boxes were. And that's it.
Could you show the ladies and gentlemen what area you're talking about? So it's the area right next to the red seat with the child upside down.
Yes.
So those boxes weren't there then?
No.
Alright, why don't you turn that photograph over? And let's go to the next one, which should be People's number 69, is that correct?
Yes.
Alright, do you recognize People's 69?
Yes.
Is 69 the same one that's up on the board there behind you?
Yes.
Alright, now, tell us what 69 is.
It's the downstairs room of Michael's. And that's the master phone, right there. Right there.
And that's the one you talked about earlier in your testimony.
Yes.
Alright, and just to the left of that is a doorway entrance. Do you know what room that enters into?
It enters into, like, a bathtub almost. Bathtub.
Alright, and is there anything different in this photograph than when you were there?
The extra telephone wasn't there.
What's that?
The extra telephone wasn't there.
So you're talking about the one that's to the right?
Yes.
You see the all-white one on the photograph?
Yes.
Alright, let's go to the next photograph, if we can. What is the number in front of you?
55.
Alright, will you tell us about 55?
That's the cash register.
Lean into the microphone, please.
That's the cash register, and, in Michael's room downstairs.
Alright, and through the door, what leads through that room?
It leads to, like, the jacuzzi tub.
Alright, do you see anything in that photograph that's different than when you were there?
No.
Let's go to the next photograph, if we could. And is that number 58?
Yes.
Alright, do you recognize 58?
Yes.
Tell us about 58.
That's the inside, that's
inside of what?
Michael's room. Downstairs it's the room all the way to the left, inside of it.
Do you have a name for that room?
It's probably a bathroom or restroom.
Did anything occur in this room while you were there?
There's a black suitcase.
What about it?
It had pornography in there.
In this room?
Yes.
Alright, let's put that down for just a second. And the next number?
158.
Alright, what's 158?
It's a close-up on the master telephone.
Is this the telephone you were talking about?
Yes.
Yes. And is that anything different in that photograph than when you were there?
No.
Alright, let's go to the next one. And what is that?
It's the same thing, but different angle.
Now, can you tell us? Could you just illustrate to the jury, using the laser, if you would, how it worked that somebody could overhear a conversation of another party? First of all, how would you know somebody else is using the phone, to your knowledge?
A green light will light up.
Where would the green light light up? You're indicating on a row of buttons to the, is that correct?
Yes.
And then what would happen when the light would light up? What would you have to do?
You would have to push, speaker, and then you'll push, mute.
Careful with that razor.
And then you'll push, mute, and then you'll push on the button that's lit up.
And then what?
And then you can listen to the conversation.
Alright, okay. The next photograph.
71.
Yes. What is that?
This is downstairs, Michael's bedroom.
Alright, and have you been in that room?
Yes.
Is there anything different about that room, as you look at it now, than when you were there?
No.
Let's go to the next one. What number is that? 78.
72.
72. Can't read my own handwriting. Tell me about 72.
That's the stairway leading up to Michael's bed area.
Anything different about that photograph?
No.
Than when you were there?
No.
Alright, let's move to 74. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What's that?
That's the stairway leading to Michael's bedroom.
Is there anything different in that photograph than when you were there?
Yes.
What?
This wasn't here.
That little gate.
Yes.
Anything else?
And that's it.
Okay, 75. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Alright, tell us what that is.
This is Michael's bed area.
Now, is there anything in that photograph that's different than when you were there?
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
No.
Okay, alright, put that one down, then, if you would. 76.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
That's Michael's bedroom.
Is there anything different in this photograph than when you were there?
No. Except the crib wasn't there and the computer wasn't there either.
What are you calling a computer? So the item that's just to the left of the crib.
Yes.
And the crib is in the far right-hand side in the middle of the photograph.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Alright, let's go to the next photograph, 77. Alright, 77. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Tell us what it is.
That's Michael's bedroom.
Alright, you've already told us that the crib and the computer weren't there. Is there anything else different in this photograph that's different than when you were there, in People's 77?
All this stuff wasn't here.
What stuff? You're talking about the items that are on the floor.
Yes.
To the right-hand side of the photograph.
Yes.
I see in the back, there is what appears to be some kind of a statue or a mannequin of some kind.
Yes.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Was that there when you were there?
Yes.
Was it in that location or in another location?
It was in that location.
Was there anything different about the mannequin when you saw it than when it's depicted in that photograph?
It had hair.
What kind of hair?
Braided hair.
Alright, let's go on to 78. Now, look at that. Is that 78?
Yes.
I mean back there.
Yes.
Alright, now, anything else in this photograph that you haven't already told us about that was different than from when you were there?
There used to be a computer table right here.
And what about the black part, was that there?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
No.
No, what?
It wasn't there.
Anything else?
The stuff in front of it, it wasn't there either.
What stuff in front of it? Could you show the jury? You're indicating the items at the bottom of the photograph on the floor, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, on this particular photograph, there's a screen. What appears to be a screen. Do you see that?
Uh-huh.
Do you know how that screen works?
It comes down.
Do you know how it comes down? I mean, how you activate it to come down or go up.
Not really.
Was that screen down the entire time you were there or was it up on some occasions?
It was up on some occasions.
Alright, let's move on to the next photograph. And that number is?
79.
Alright, now, 79. Do you see anything in that photograph that's different from when you were there?
All this stuff wasn't here.
Alright, show us. So you're indicating from, was the chair there?
No.
And the paintings or photos, were they there?
No.
Those are the items at the bottom of the photograph below the screen, correct?
Yes.
Now, you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that there was a computer table there.
Yes.
Or a table of some kind.
Yes.
Could you describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that table looked like?
It had drawers, and then it had an opening.
Okay. How many legs did it have or?
4 legs.
And what was on top of it?
A computer.
What kind of a computer?
An old computer. It was pretty big.
Sorry.
It was big.
Alright, let's move on to the next photograph. What's People's 94?
That's a toy room.
Okay. Is there anything different about that than when you were there?
No.
How about the next one? Is that 97?
Yes.
What about 97? Anything different about that than when you were there?
There used to be a rocking horse.
Where? Right where that pinkish item is.
Yes.
Just below R2D2.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. The next photograph, what number is that?
95.
Anything different about 95?
No.
How about 96?
No.
All the same. Anything different?
No.
Okay. Why don't you put that up, then? Now, before we move on to the next area, I neglected to do something earlier. We can turn the lights on, Your Honor. Your Honor, counsel. Okay. I'm going to hand you an exhibit that's part of the exhibit that's already in evidence, that's 260, and ask if you recognize that.
No.
Do you recognize the person in it?
Yes.
Who's that?
Me.
Were you present when the information was filled out on that document?
No.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a few questions about it in just a second. 261, do you recognize that?
No.
Pardon?
No.
Do you recognize the photograph of the person in that document?
Yes.
Who's that?
Me.
Were you present when the information was filled out?
No.
All right. I'll have to ask you a few questions now. We're going to change over to the Elmo, Your Honor. Now, 261 is an exhibit that's in evidence, Star. With regard to the writing on that particular exhibit, did you place any of that on there at any time?
No.
Underneath your photograph, which is on the left-hand side of that particular exhibit, is that your signature?
No.
On the area, do you have your little red thing?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to use it. Straight across from your photograph, all the way over on the right-hand side, there's a box. That box right there. Okay. And it says, Italy, and, France. Did you ever hear anything about you going to Italy or France?
No.
Okay. Now, let's take the next document, which is 261. Now, the photograph, do you recognize the photograph?
Yes.
Who is that?
Me.
And is that your handwriting on that particular document?
No.
Were you present when that information was filled out?
No.
Do you know what that document is?
Not really.
All right. Thank you. We can turn the lights on, Your Honor. Okay. I have another exhibit I'd like to have marked as 470 for identification purposes. There's no edges on it.
Here's another one.
All right. For the record, Your Honor, 470 is a clear plastic bag with the number 122,980 in white on the front of it. And it's been marked 470 for identification. I've shown it to counsel.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Could I ask that the prosecutor and the witness be admonished to follow your order with respect to describing the contents?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm going to show you 470. Recognize that?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the suitcase that held all the pornography in it.
Objection. Move to strike.
It's stricken. The pre-trial order requires that you and the witness refer to adult material as adult material, not the conclusion.
Okay. I don't even know.
There are a couple words that you could use.
I'm not sure he would know any of those words, but could I have a second to talk to him about it, then? I didn't know that meant to the witness, because that would be me telling him words, but, okay. Let me just. Whereupon, there was an off-the-record discussion held between the witness and Mr. Sneddon. All right. Where was that exhibit the first time you saw it?
It was in the downstairs, near the bathtub that was like a jacuzzi. It was near there.
All right.
Just a minute, counsel. I want to tell the jury something about our last little discussion, because I don't want to leave this up in the air like that. The reason that the witness and the attorneys are to refer to this material as adult material, or there's another word I used, I can't remember now, instead of pornography, is that pornography really is a legal conclusion that the trier of fact is the person who decides what the nature of the material is. So by having the witness and the attorneys refer to it in a somewhat neutral time frame, it stops any conclusions from being made that would bias the jury. That's the whole purpose. Go ahead, counsel.
Who was with you when you saw that suitcase for the first time?
Me, my brother, Aldo, and Michael.
The defendant.
Yes.
And how was it that you were actually shown that suitcase? Tell us what happened.
Just walked in the room and it was open. There used to be a couch right there.
Yeah.
And, well, it wasn't really a couch. It was like a chair. And it was on there, and it was open.
Alright, and then what happened?
Michael just started to show us magazines.
You say, show, you. Tell us what he did.
He handed them to us.
Alright, and did you look at them?
Yes, with him.
And did you look at them one at a time, or did everybody have a different one at a different time? How did it happen? Tell us what happened.
We all looked at them one at a time.
Did anybody make any comments about anything?
No.
Do you remember how many of them you saw?
A couple.
How long was it that you were there going through them?
I don't know, probably 10 minutes.
Now, when did that take place, when you saw these for that suitcase for the first time?
When?
Yeah.
I think after the Calabasas Hotel.
Now, I have one other exhibit that is number 86 marked for identification purposes. Now, I'm going to show you this in just a second, but I want to talk to you a little bit more. Did you ever see that black suitcase that's been marked as People's 470 before? After that, after the time that you discussed?
Yes.
Where?
It was upstairs in his bed area.
Where?
Where his bed was.
And where in his bedroom?
Near the TV.
Alright, and where were you?
What do you mean?
Where were you in the bedroom?
On the bed.
Alright, who was with you?
Aldo, my brother, and Michael.
And where was the suitcase located? I mean, did you ever look at the suitcase, inside of it?
Yes.
What happened?
There was adult material in there.
Alright, but how did it get opened?
Michael pulled it out.
Alright, tell us what he did.
He picked it up, sat on the bed and opened it.
And then what?
He pulled the magazine out and started showing us.
How many magazines do you think you saw that time?
4, 3, I don't know.
Did you look through the entire magazines?
No, it was probably a section or something like that.
What did you see in the magazines?
Nude females.
What?
Nude females.
Do you remember the names of any of the titles of the magazines that you saw?
Barely Legal, and Playboy.
Were there others that you saw besides that, or are those the only ones you saw?
Those are the only ones I remember.
I'm going to show you a photograph marked as People's 86 for identification purposes. And that's, first of all, I'm going to move that People's 470 be admitted into evidence, Your Honor.
Objection. Foundation.
We'll take that up separately.
Alright, People's 86. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of what it represents?
Yes.
Alright, I'm going to ask you some questions about People's 86. And put it on the board, Your Honor. I move it be admitted into evidence.
Objection. Foundation. And authenticity and relevance.
On 86.
Yes. I asked him and he said it accurately depicted the materials.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the.
In your book, it's number 86, Your Honor.
Okay.
In your photographs.
Also 352, Your Honor.
I don't think that's an adequate foundation for that particular photograph, that it accurately depicts what it is. You need a further foundation.
Star. The materials that are depicted in that photograph, People's 86, do you see those?
Yes.
Do you recognize any of those?
Yes.
Where do you recognize them from?
The black suitcase.
And which time?
The first and second time.
Does that photograph represent the items that you saw with the defendant, Michael Jackson?
Yes.
In his bedroom and in his jacuzzi, or in his bathroom?
Yes.
I move it be admitted, Your Honor.
All right. That is an adequate foundation. Your 352 was on what basis, counsel?
He didn't identify some of what's in that photograph, Your Honor, at all.
I found that the foundation is adequate now. You had a 352 objection.
Yes.
What was that?
Well, basically because he didn't identify it, and because after describing what he said was there, and then looking at the photo and saying it accurately depicts it, he didn't identify everything. I think basically it's prejudicial and irrelevant.
All right. The probative value exceeds the prejudicial.
I can't hear.
It's admitted.
I can't hear you.
Your Honor, it's a little hard for Mr. Jackson to hear you.
Please speak up.
Yes. The probative value of Exhibit 86 exceeds any prejudicial effects, and so it's admitted.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Star. The exhibit that we have on the board up there, the suitcase, and it's open and displayed, are those among the items that you saw with Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Do they represent the things that you saw with him when he took the magazines out?
Yes.
All right. On the occasion that you saw the materials from this suitcase that are depicted in this photograph. Okay. Who else was present?
My brother and Aldo, me, and Michael.
Do you recall how much time elapsed between the first time you saw the materials downstairs till the time you saw them upstairs?
A few days.
And did you see how the suitcase got from downstairs to upstairs?
No.
When you saw the suitcase in the bedroom, upstairs, on the second occasion, was it open or was it closed?
It was open.
And where was it on the floor, or where was it in the room?
On the floor.
And where?
Right next to the TV.
So when you say, it's open, tell me what you mean by, it's open.
It was cracked.
What do you mean by that?
It was cracked open.
Do you see the briefcase in the exhibit as we see it in the courtroom?
Yes.
All right. Was it open in that condition?
No.
Was the lid up or down when you saw it in the bedroom?
It was like this, standing up. And it was cracked open.
Oh, the briefcase.
Yes.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't in the same position that it's shown in this photograph.
No.
Now, how about when you saw it downstairs?
It was like that, but it was closed.
Like what?
Standing straight up, but it was closed, leaning up against something.
In the bathroom area?
Yes.
And how did it get opened?
What do you mean?
Well, you said it was closed. You looked at the material.
The first time it was closed. The second time it was cracked open.
Okay, we can take that down.
Do you want to go ahead and push black screen?
Counsel.
Judge, can you push black screen?
Hang on to that for just a second. All right. Do you recognize the photograph I've just handed you, which is People's 153? Is that the right number on it?
Yes.
All right. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of what it purports to represent?
Yes.
As you saw it when you were there?
Yes.
All right. I move that 153 be admitted into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
All right. Star, would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what 153 is?
It's a mannequin.
And where was the mannequin located in the room when you saw it?
To the corner.
And with regard to this particular mannequin, did you ever see anything, relative to the defendant in this case, occur?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you saw.
One time, he was jerking around and he grabbed the mannequin, and he was pretending like he was having intercourse with it.
And where did that occur?
On the bed. He was fully clothed. He was acting like he was humping.
I didn't hear what you said.
He was acting like he was humping it.
Now, who else was in the bedroom when this happened?
Aldo, my brother and me.
And do you remember how it started or what happened, or were there?
I don't even remember. I'm sorry.
Did the defendant say anything while he was doing it?
He was laughing.
And how long did the whole episode last?
Probably 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you want to put that down? Star, can you tell us whether or not the topic of masturbation ever came up in any conversations with the defendant?
Objection. Leading.
Sustained.
Judge, whether or not, makes it an open-ended question. It doesn't suggest the answer. I don't mean to argue with the court, but I mean.
It does not, Your Honor. That's leading.
Could you rephrase the question?
Yes, Your Honor. I can do that. Star, did you ever have any conversations with the defendant about any other sexual matters?
Yes.
About what?
Masturbation.
All right. Will you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
I don't know how the topic came about, but he was asking me if I ever masturbated. And I said, no. And he said,
Objection. There's no question pending. He just went off.
Sustained.
All frame 1, Your Honor. Okay. So did you have a conversation?
yes.
All right. Now, would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, where was it?
This was when another child was here. His name was Rio.
I can't hear you.
This was in Michael's bedroom.
And who else was present, if anyone?
Rio, my brother, and that was it. And me.
And to your knowledge, who is Rio?
I don't know.
Somebody you met at Mr. Jackson's.
Yes.
And do you recall when this was in terms of before or after you went to Calabasas?
It was after.
And do you recall whether it was in the daytime or at nighttime?
Nighttime.
All right. Would you tell us what was said, what the defendant said?
He asked me if I masturbated. And I said, no. Then he said to me that, everyone does it. You should try it, it's okay, and all this stuff.
Were you the only one he asked that question of?
Yes. Well, yeah, yes.
And when you said, no, did he say anything else?
Yeah, he said, it's okay, and, everyone does it, and, you should try it. That's what he said.
Was there anything else said besides that?
No.
Do you, when you came back from Calabasas?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Till the time that you left, all right. Where did you sleep?
In Michael's room. And towards the end, I slept in the guest unit.
And was there any drinking that went on during that period of time?
Yes.
And who was drinking?
Mostly my brother and Michael.
You say, mostly. Did you drink?
Yes.
On the occasion that you were there with, in the room with Mr. Jackson and your brother, and this person that you know, is it Rio?
Yes.
Were you drinking then?
I think so.
Do you remember what you were drinking?
Just wine.
Now, on the evenings after you came back from Calabasas and until you stopped sleeping in Mr. Jackson's room, where did your brother sleep?
Michael's room.
During that period of time, was there an incident where you saw Mr. Jackson come into bed with you and your brother?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I was.
Just. You can only answer yes or no.
Yes.
All right. Now, you said there was an incident. Where were you prior to the time that Mr. Jackson came into the room?
Sleeping.
Where?
On the bed.
And where was your brother?
Right next to me.
All right. We've seen that bed here in the photographs. Okay.
Okay.
And when we're looking straight at the bed towards the back of the wall. Okay. Where were you located on the bed?
All the way to the right.
And where was your brother?
In the middle.
And were you under the covers?
Under the covers.
Over the covers?
Under the covers.
And how were you dressed?
In PJs.
Do these PJs describe them?
Sweatpants.
I'm sorry.
Sweatpants and a shirt.
All right. And do you recall what your brother was wearing?
Not really.
Now, did you see? Tell us what happened.
I was sleeping. It was in the morning. And I saw Michael come up, and I tried to say hi, but I couldn't. He got in bed, started scooting over closer and closer to my brother. And for a time he didn't stop until I moved, and then he stopped.
And what happened when he heard you move?
He stopped.
Okay. Did you see whether or not he did anything?
No. No.
Okay. Star, we're almost done. Okay. Now, some night when you were at the ranch, all right. Did you go up to Mr. Jackson's bedroom by yourself?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
Where had you been just prior to that?
I was heading to the theater.
Where?
I was heading to the theater.
Why were you going to the theater?
To get some chocolate.
How did you get down there?
The golf cart.
Did you get some chocolate?
Yes.
And what did you do when you came back?
I was heading to Michael's room to go to sleep.
All right. Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you did when you got to the house?
I went through the door.
Which door?
The first door. The first door. And then the second door, it was kind of, I don't know, it was, like, kind of locked. And so I pushed on it till it opened, and then.
Objection. Your Honor, could we have a time? Vague as to time.
Overruled. Go ahead.
So I went upstairs, and.
Let's go back. You were at the door, and the door what?
The door was kind of locked, so I pushed it, and it opened. So I went halfway to where the computer table used to be, and I saw directly into the bed. And I stopped. And my brother was outside of the covers. And I saw Michael's left hand in my brother's underwears and I saw his right hand in his underwears, so I.
Let's just stop there for a second. Okay.
Okay.
And ask you some questions. Why were you coming back to the room that night, after you'd gone down to get the chocolate?
To go to sleep.
When you got to the point on the stairs where you saw your brother and Mr. Jackson on the bed. Okay. When you're looking at the bed, just like we saw it on the photograph here, what side of the bed was the defendant on?
Left side.
And what side was your brother on?
Right side.
And what position was Mr. Jackson in?
On his back. On his back.
And what position was your brother in?
He was curled up, looking to the left. He was curled up facing left.
Now, would that be looking towards Mr. Jackson or away from Mr. Jackson?
Away.
Now, at that time, could you see what the defendant was wearing?
Socks, underwears and an undershirt.
Now, could you tell what kind of underwear it was?
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
With regard to your brother, what was he wearing?
I can't quite remember what he was wearing. I'm not.
Do you remember what you could see of him? Was there part of him that he didn't have anything on?
Yeah, I know he had a shirt and he had his socks. I think he had pants or underwears on. I don't remember.
All right. Now, you said you saw his hand. Whose hands are you talking about?
Michael's.
All right. And where were his hands?
Left hand was in my brother's pants and right hand was in his pants.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Overruled. You may proceed.
Now, when you say, in his pants, and who are you talking about?
Michael.
All right. When you saw that, did you see what, if anything, he was doing?
He was masturbating.
What do you mean by that?
He was rubbing himself.
And how could you tell that?
Because he had his hand in his pants. And he was stroking up and down.
Did you see anything else about the defendant while he was doing that?
No.
What else did you see?
That's all.
Could you tell whether Mr. Jackson had his eyes open or closed?
He had his eyes closed.
Could you tell whether or not your brother was asleep or not?
He was asleep.
How do you know that?
Because he was kind of snoring.
I can't hear you. You're going to have to talk into that mic.
He was kind of snoring.
Now, on this particular occasion, how long did you stay there watching?
Couple seconds.
Well, how long is that?
4.
What were the lighting conditions like in the room?
The stairs were only lit, and the rest was, nothing else was, had lights on. It was just the stairs had lights.
So you saw the photographs earlier that we showed that had the lights on over the bed, correct?
Yes.
Were those lights on or off?
Off.
When you looked into the room, did you see any alcohol?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
I don't think so.
So what was your reaction to what you saw?
I didn't know what to do.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know what to do. I just went back to the guest units where my sister was sleeping.
What guest room did you stay in?
I don't remember, but my sister was sleeping in one guest room, and I went to the one that she was in.
Did you see anything like that occur on any other occasion?
Yes, a second occasion.
When?
It was probably just driving around, and same thing.
No, I meant in relationship to the first one. How many days, if any, elapsed?
2 days.
All right. Where were you that night?
Probably driving around in the golf cart. And I came back.
Now, you say, probably. Do you remember?
Not really what I was doing.
Pardon?
I don't really remember what I was doing.
All right.
I'm not sure. Walking in, the door wasn't locked. The door was closed but it wasn't locked. I went upstairs. The same thing was happening, But my brother was on his back as well.
You say, the same thing was happening. Tell me what was happening.
My brother was asleep. Michael was masturbating while he had his left hand in my brother's underwears.
And what kind of underwear was your brother wearing?
I don't know.
Now, when you said you saw the defendant masturbating, where were they on the bed? What were the positions of the people on the bed on this occasion? If you're looking at the bed, who was on the left?
Michael.
And who was on the right?
Gavin.
And you said that you saw him masturbating again. What did you actually see occurring?
What?
The defendant, what did you see him doing?
Masturbating. Stroking up and down.
Where?
In his thing. His private area.
Could you see what the other hand was doing?
Moving. It was. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, can you just show us what you saw?
It was going like that, indicating.
And that's the hand that was where?
In my brother's underwears.
So just for the record, just sort of got a fist and opening it up and sort of like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't help any, does it? Sort of like semi-closing and opening the hand. And the second time, how long did you stay?
3 seconds. It was less than the first time.
And where did you go?
Back to my sister's guest unit.
Did you ever tell from the point that you went back to the guest unit and you were still on the ranch, did you ever tell your sister what you saw?
No.
Who was the first person that you told what you saw?
Dr. Katz.
You never told your mother?
No.
Or your brother?
No.
On the second occasion, what was Mr. Jackson wearing, if anything?
Socks, underwears and an undershirt.
And your brother?
You
already told us what's on the bottom. Was he wearing anything on the top?
Yes, he was wearing an undershirt.
What?
Well, he was wearing a shirt.
Where did you go to sleep that night, on the second incident?
My sister's guest unit.
Now, at some point while you were at Neverland Ranch. Okay. Did an incident, well, let me go back. Let's go back. Does your brother, because of his condition with cancer, have to go to the doctor regularly?
Yes.
And when he goes to the doctor regularly, what does he have to do?
A urine sample, blood sample. He has to go to the kidney specialist. He has to go to 2 different doctors. I don't know what they do.
Now, in preparation for his visits to the doctor. Okay. You said he had something to do with urine. Does he have to collect that before he goes?
Sometimes the doctors would send home a bottle for him to fill up and then bring back.
Do you remember an occasion while you were at the ranch that he had to go to the doctor and take a urine sample with him?
Yes.
Were you present when he and Mr. Jackson discussed that?
Objection. Leading. And foundation.
Overruled.
No.
Were you present at any time?
Shakes head from side to side.
Okay. Did you see what happened to the urine sample?
No, but I heard about it.
No, I know. I just want to know what the night before did you know when your brother left for the medical appointment?
Yes.
And that night before that, were you with him?
No.
Pardon?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Where were you?
I don't know.
Did you see him leave in the morning?
No, I was probably still asleep.
Can you describe the container? Let me go back. Did you see the container on the occasion that he was going to the doctor while he was at the ranch?
Yes.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
And where was it when you saw it?
Where was the bottle?
Yeah.
It was in the guest units.
When your brother came back from that appointment, were you there?
No.
You weren't on the ranch when? Did you see him when he came driving up?
No.
When did you first see your brother after he went to the doctor's appointment?
I don't remember. Probably later that night.
Do you know how long he was gone?
Probably about 6 hours.
Do you know whether or not your brother was with him when he came back?
I don't know.
Was your sister at the ranch while he was gone?
Yes.
So you and your sister were there?
Yes.
You don't remember what you did that day at all?
No.
Okay. Now, at this point, after this, did you at some time eventually leave the ranch for the last time?
Yes.
And do you remember how many days or when it was in relationship to this appointment that your brother went to the doctor's for?
I don't know.
Well, was it a long time, a short time,
A short time. A short time.
What makes you think that?
I don't know. It was.
Is that just a guess?
Yes.
Alright, take a minute and think about it.
I don't know.
Alright, and how was it that you learned that you were going to leave the ranch?
I heard I think it was from my sister, that my grandfather was ill. Well, they said my grandfather was ill, but he wasn't.
Objection. Narrative. Non-responsive.
Sustained.
Okay. You learned it from whom?
I learned of it from my sister.
Alright, and what did you learn?
That my grandfather was ill.
Was that true?
No.
Did your sister tell you that?
Yes.
So when you heard that, then what did you do?
I thought he was ill, so I wanted to go home.
And did the three of you leave?
Yes.
And how did you get from there to? Where did you go?
We went to our grandma's house.
Did you ever go back to the ranch after that?
Never.
And who was it that left that day?
Left home.
Who was with you when you left?
My brother, sister and me.
Judge, I have about 5 more minutes. I don't know if you want to keep going or you want to.
No.
Okay.
It's 2:30. We'll end the session today. I want to tell you, tomorrow, remember, we're going to have a shorter session. We're going to start at 8:30, and we're going to end at 11:30. I'll tell you that so that you can make your plans for tomorrow. I was a little vague about when we were going to end last week, but I think the best time is at our normal break, and we'll just end for the morning. And then we'll start again on Wednesday with the regular schedule. See you tomorrow. Remember the admonition.